Well, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Karma, it's so nice to see your face. So I've known Karma since high school. And so she's from Maui as well, and she lives in Montana, right? Yeah. So fun to see your face. Awesome.
Yeah, and it might snow soon, so hey.
Oh, weather is nutty. All right, so my name's Selena. Most of you already know that, but for those of you that do know me, I've kind of changed the way I talk about what I do as far as who I serve. And so really, I help working moms be able to either work their career or work their business and still be present and, with their family without killing themselves or driving themselves crazy in the process. So it's nothing, if you've already worked with me, it's nothing different than we've done before. It's just my focus is shifted more towards like business and momming and how to put that all together without losing it and still being successful. So today we're going to be talking about something that is, I think, on everyone's mind if you do have kids or even if you don't and you are just working all the time and you're trying to fit in everything into your schedule about being busy and what that can do to us, how that can be for us and how that can be against us. So in the next 45 minutes, we're going to really dive into kind of some overview stuff, but a little bit of detail as well so that you can understand what type of busy person you are and where we can change the way we think about busy to make things different. So the answer to the question, how are you, used to be I'm fine. You guys remember that? Remember used to just say I'm fine? Now most people say I'm busy. I know I'm definitely guilty of saying that as well, but that seems to be the common answer now, which is really interesting. I mean, I'm fine wasn't true anyway, so it was all a lie as well. But I'm busy is now said as the answer mainly because it's not the normal, but it seems to be the goal. It seems to be the goal of most women that I know to be busy. Now, the busy is going to depend on your personality, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But for most of us that I know, we're busy working in our business or busy building our career. But sometimes we're just busy because it's fun, and busy isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it isn't necessarily something that we want to make the goal because of the ramifications that it can have on us. And I think a lot of times we don't think that far ahead or think about that being a problem. We're just so used to running around doing all the things that and knowing that it actually is kind of like a standard now. We want to kind of up level ourselves, not in the greatest way, though, more of a comparison to other women and what they're doing, because we all do it. Look at her. She runs a business and she has 5 kids and she's got it all together, and I want to be like her, which is a lie. She doesn't have it all together, most likely, but that's not what we see. So we are trying to kind of be like her and to maybe even one-up her. In order to do that, we feel we have to do all the things and do all the things perfectly, especially living in our instantaneous social media world that we're in. And all we see is the pretty stuff. And we decide to make busy mean something that is a goal that we have to achieve. I mean, how many of you are like proud of how many balls you have up the air at the same time? I was definitely that person. Kim's like, no. Yeah, so I love the fact that I could juggle so many things, but that over time ended up being very detrimental to my health. If you read my email on Sunday, I was homebound for like 7 months, and most of the time I was in bed because I just ran myself like into the ground. So I learned the hard way, and I'm trying to prevent anyone else from going through that. So do we think that being busy is really important? Depends on who you ask, depends on the minute of the day. But really, I don't think it's as important as we're making it. And I want to make sure that we are paying attention to why we are busy. Sometimes we create busyness on purpose, okay? Sometimes it's a story that we've created, a lot of times we create the story that we're busy because we want something to blame for the reason why we're not achieving our goals. So we create the story that we have to be busy. Right? And we start to avoid anything else that's uncomfortable. We're just going to sit in our busyness because then we get to turn off every other emotion that we have and just like put your head down and go. which can be helpful. Don't get me wrong. I know we all have things to do, but is it really the way we want to do it? Do you feel aligned when you're like so busy that your head is down and you're just going forward? Or do you feel more aligned when you're actually present in what you're doing and paying attention to how you feel and not feeling exhausted and drained, but energized, right? And feeling like you are, I always joke around that when I run down and feel overly busy, I don't feel like a human anymore. I feel like a shell of myself. I don't really feel like I'm invited to the party. I just like get so wiped out that my body keeps moving, but my brain checks out completely. So we want to change that. So I'm going to show you that you do have control over your busy, because most of us think it's just a fact of our lives, that it's happening to us, that it just was put upon us, and we just have to deal with it. I'm going to show you that you don't have to live in that story. You don't have to be the victim to it. You have control on how you want to manage busy and how you want to think about busy, because truly busy is just a construct of your mind. We made it up. Just like time. Time is actually a construct. Someone just decided there were going to be 24 hours in a day, right? It's really just a construct of our mind. So with that, I'm going to show you how you can have more energy, be more clear-headed, and get more done. And then at the end, I'm going to see if you're willing to eradicate the word busy from your vocabulary. You have to come up with fancy new words to talk about yourself. All right. So now I want you guys to, because there's not that many of you, you can unmute yourselves. When you unmute yourselves, though, just make sure that you know that I will cut you off if you're talking too long. Okay. Okay. So my question is, when you feel busy, how do you feel in your body? What is the physical sensation that you have?
Anxiety.
Yeah. That's a big one.
I don't breathe at all. I don't feel like I breathe.
I was gonna say breathing's important. I hope you're right.
Exhausted.
Okay. Anxiety. What else?
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion.
Worn out.
Yeah. Anybody else? Here we go. Anybody else?
I know that my procrastination kicks in even more.
Okay, yes, procrastination. Okay, Cam, how about you? I haven't heard from you. She's like, I can't find the button to unmute myself.
There we go. There's the button. I usually feel panicked. Like I feel like a deer in the headlights. I don't, that feeling.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, you freeze, right?
Yeah.
Panic and freeze. So how helpful are these feelings? Not at all. But we think we want to be in that place because that means we're busy, which is very counterintuitive. When we do the models at the end, you'll see that that does not help you get anything done. Procrastination is fantastic for not doing anything, right? It's a good way to buffer your life away. But we all do it because busy is physiologically I'm not going to go into the science, but a spike of a bunch of hormones that pump out all at the wrong time and make you feel like you have all this energy, but by the end of the day, you're completely wiped out, right? But, I tell people you don't have to be busy, and I get eye rolls and I get like whatever. And I've said it too, to my coach. I said, you don't know my life. You have no idea what you're talking about. And she doesn't have kids. So of course my head's like, well, she didn't have kids. She doesn't know what she's talking about. But the truth is, it is something that I could control. And that's why I do it where I'm at now. I couldn't sit in my busy story or nothing was going to get done. I had to come up with some other way to feel and be in order to move forward. But because we all have shit to do. And we all get to choose whether we want to feel good about that stuff we need to get done or terrible about that stuff we want to get done. So we all have also what I call a personal brand of busy. And we're going to do that next. But what I want to say about that is, one, I made it up, but I think it works really well. Two, when we are in this state of constant go, 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 we are presenting ourselves to the world based on what we believe busy means to us or means about us. So I'm going to show you what the 3 personas of busy look like. Okay. All right. So this is super fun. Okay. So here's the busy persona options. I'm going to actually stand on this side. Okay, you guys see those? So the first one is exhausted Emily. So exhausted Emily is when she answers the question, like, how are you? And she answers it like this: busy. Thank God you asked me a question so I could stop moving. It's been a busy day. Life is really hard. And so she's super exhausted. She's just grateful that you stopped her so she could stop moving, right? And she is fed up really with being busy. Okay, she's exhausted. Exhausted Emily. And exhausted Emily is driven by her story. She said life is really hard, right? Driven by her story. She's not doing this, she's busy because she feels like she has to be, because her life is that way. Okay, the next one is, the answer to the question, how are you, is, oh, I'm just busy. Super caffeinated, like, gotta go to the next thing. I'll see you later. I love my life. Okay, so she just has to keep moving. There's a crazed look in her eye. She's had way too much coffee, right? She probably is really tired, but she's just ready to go to the next thing. Can't really talk for long. She'll give you a really great face and then like run to the next thing, right? She probably likes the feeling it gives her, that adrenaline rush. She probably lives off of that. She loves the feeling of going from one thing to the next. It makes her feel very productive. But at the end of the day, when she sits down, she passes out, right? So that is frantic Felicia. You can also call her focused Felicia, because she does stay very focused, but she's just kind of all over the place. She gets things done, but maybe not in the best order, right? She is very success-driven, achievement-driven. She has a to-do list that is going to get done come hell or high water, right? And then the last one we have is confused Christy. And she answers the question, how are you, like this: so busy, but I think that's a good thing. I'm not quite sure. All my friends are doing it and they're kind of successful, so maybe I should do that too. She really doesn't know what to make of this busy thing. She thinks it's important. Everyone's doing it. She really does want to fit in. So she figures she might as well do it as well, but she's not even sure she's doing busy right. Right? She is just trying to keep up with the other moms or her coworkers, or even like meet the expectations of, let's say, her mother-in-law. That was me. All right. So this is more of a culture-based thing. She's just kind of going with the flow. She is driven by wanting to fit in. Does that make sense? Okay. So out of these three, which one do you think calls to you the most?
Frantic Felicia for me.
For Tara?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't get my camera to work. I don't know. I'm giving up on it.
That's okay. I know your voice. It's good. What would you say, Carmen?
That is my color-coded to-do list for today. I'm very focused and frantic.
Okay. 2 for frantic Felicia. Anybody else?
I can't decide if I'm exhausted or confused.
You can be more than one. Absolutely.
I'm between the second one and the third one.
Frantic Felicia and confused Christy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I'm definitely right here. This was me for a very long time. I'm really not, I guess she comes out every now and then when she needs to, because I do think, like I said, sometimes, especially this one, can be very helpful when you do need to get things done. But if it's every day, day in and day out, and if you are doing it for the achievement of it, and I'm speaking more of just like a deadline, but to prove something to somebody, that's when it goes awry. And that's when it can really wear on you and not be a positive experience in your life. So you could be a little bit of all of these depending on your day, right? Or what's going on. But I think it's fun to understand kind of where you fall and why. So this one is, this one's success driven. I'm using the wrong pen. This one is to fit in. And this one is, where did I want to say victim, but I don't think that's what I actually wrote. Oh, story driven. It's her story. I see this one a lot with new entrepreneur moms. Yeah. They're not sure how the culture works. And so they think, oh, I think I'm supposed to be busy because everybody else is really busy. Maybe I should try that. I don't know if that's a good idea. Yeah. Which is, I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of the culture, like I said, comes from achievement when it comes to being busy, especially overly busy. Obviously, we all have things to do, but when we take it to the extreme, it's all about achievement equaling success. So if you know who you are now, think about what being busy means about you. So, for example, Frantic Felicia for me meant that I was being successful and I was being productive, that I was getting approval from other people. So what do you think, like Exhausted Emily, what do you think that would say about her? So if she's really tired, though, it's going to flip. It's not going to necessarily be that she's achieving anything. So when you're not busy, what might this say about Exhausted Emily? She's trying to be busy, but in a different way.
Poor Emily.
Poor Emily, right? We might think she's, we feel bad for her, but we also might think, and not just the people in her life, but like other people looking in, like other women, because we're kind of catty, is that she's lazy. She's tired all the time. I mean, really, right? She's unproductive. She probably feels like that anxiousness and that exhaustion and the freeze, right? But lots of people judge that because the culture is about what can we achieve, right? Okay. For Frantic Felicia, it's going to be about being a superwoman, doing it all. And looking at me, like I said, getting approval. So if Frantic Felicias out there are not busy, what does that say about them?
That they're not doing anything.
That they're failing. And that is like the worst words that a Frantic Felicia could hear.
Fear of failure.
Yeah.
Huge.
So we keep being busy. And she keeps being busy because she's afraid she's going to look like she is lazy and doesn't want that. And then poor confused Christy is just like, I just want to fit in.
Sorry, there's a truck outside.
Okay, it's fine. And confused Christy is just trying to fit in. And she's just going to do whatever it takes because she doesn't want to appear to be unlike everybody else. But at what cost, though, do we do these things? That is the biggest question. I like to ask people when I'm talking to them one-on-one too, when we have this kind of conversation, is who are you doing this for? Like, what is it about being in these different ways of being driven? Who is it for? Is it for you? Is it for somebody else? What do you think? It could be both.
Other people,
Other
for sure.
Yeah. That's for our status, right? We want to fit in. We want approval, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to our status. We want our status to be good. So we could call it status driven even. We want to be better. So it's for ourselves too. We want to prove to ourselves that we are better than everybody else. And our commitment too, that we can do this. Like Exhausted Emily, like, I can do this. It's going to wear me out, but I can do it. Frantic Felicia's like, I got this. Watch me just go until I burn into the ground. Right? The thing about all of this is, though, this is all about really, truly proving our worth by what we do. Which, as I hope you all truly do know, that your worthiness does not come from what you do. It comes from you being born. Right? The minute you show up, you're worthy, and no one can ever take that away from you. But that's not what we're fed to believe. And so here we are doing all these things just to get ahead. So there are some of us that really do try to make the best of, if we're going to be busy, we're going to make the best of it. But there's also like the Exhausted Emilys that are in their story. And this can be a big problem because even if I'm Frantic Felicia, it becomes my story, right? That I'm a busy person all the time. It's all for success, But busy, then I get to blame when things don't go my way. What happens is we think that busy is just a fact that happens to us. It's our life. We have no control over it. But we do. But we do. And so when I have clients that tell me I'm too busy, I'm like, that's just a thought that you're having. That is not truth. And I always get the like, what are you talking about? That can't be true because you don't know my life, right? But busy becomes your story and you live in it, and you've lived in it for so long that you don't think there's any other option, especially when your kids are young and maybe you have a day job, and then you come home and you have to mom all night. That's just your story. And you're like, there's nothing I can change here. That isn't true, because you can change how you think about it. And that is the point of all the stuff we're talking about. So you get to blame your story when things don't go wrong, don't go right, so that you don't have to take responsibility for any of it. You don't have to feel the emotions around it. We can just avoid all of that and just say, well, it's because my life's so busy that I didn't get this thing done, or that I wasn't able to go to that event, or that I gained 20 pounds, right? We can blame our story. Sometimes we directly blame our children too, which is very nice. Like, it's all their fault. I'm like, well, let's see, they didn't ask to be born, so let's talk about that, right? So we could be also creating it on purpose, subconsciously. So I think that is what I did. When I got divorced and then became a single parent, had to live with my dad, like all that whole story thing that I've talked about before, that was my way to be okay with not being able to succeed. I was avoiding all the emotions, and I was just deciding that I'm going to be a victim to my own story. And we do that because sometimes it's just easier. And I didn't consciously realize, I still thought it was a fact, but no, I was doing it on purpose. So we have to be onto ourselves when we're starting to live in this story, especially when it becomes a way to make excuses for ourselves. But either way, even if you're doing it for a success reason, being busy for success, or to fit in, or you're feeling a victim to your story, you still can make changes. But you have to be able to do these three things. You have to be willing to feel discomfort, especially if all you've ever known is busy. Because once you shift from living in your story busy to not, that's going to feel totally foreign to you, and your toddler brain is going to freak out and try to tell you, you better be busy because people aren't going to love you anymore. You're not going to be a good mom if you can't do all the things. My toddler brain's a pain in the ass most of the time. It's just trying to keep you comfortable, because comfort is safety. The other thing you need to be willing to do is let people be wrong about who you are. This one's probably the hardest. Because let's say everyone knows that you are like the driven person. Give Selena the work, she'll do it. That was totally me. I'm the yes person. Just give it to me, I will do it. So when I started saying no, people were like, wow, what a bitch. Okay, I am not a bitch. I can be bitchy, sure, but that is not I am not that person. I don't think there's many people out there that say, hey, Selena's a real bitch. You should not get to know her. I don't think that happens very often. But people would just start to think that I'm just a horrible person. And as a people pleaser, that was really hard for me. But I had to realize that I know who I am, and I have to be willing to allow them to go ahead and be wrong. That's their loss. That is a hard one to wrap our brains around. Because again, toddler brain's like, no, but you need to have friends. They need to like you. So you need to do whatever it takes. No, I don't. I don't need to do whatever it takes. They can be wrong. I am not lazy. I am not a bitch. I just said no because I don't want to do that. And then the third thing you need to be able to do is take responsibility for your own thinking and your own emotions. Okay? So, like I said, if we think that the story is happening to us, then we're not taking responsibility. We're allowing something else to be in control of what's going on in our lives. So in order for us to move forward and stop living in these places of busy where we feel exhausted and anxious and overwhelmed, and if we want to live more clearly and more focused and feel better about living, be more in alignment with the way that we're working and the way that we want to live, we're going to have to change the way we think. So, as you know, if you come to my stuff, we're going to do some thought models now so that you can see how your brain is working. So be ready to give me to be interactive on this part. Okay, we're going to put our busy persona over here. All right. So we're going to start with a thought model that is going to be I'm going to use this circumstance as your work. Okay, so I'm going to start it, but then you're going to help me fill it out. So if you haven't seen a thought model, the way a thought model works, and it's working all the time, is that you have a circumstance or a situation, and it's neutral. So work day. This is neutral. There's no emotion tied here. There's no adjectives. Yeah, there's no descriptor words at all. Right, just your work day. So when you think about your work day, and it's going to be different for everybody because everyone's got different work days, but if your work day is one that's causing you to need to be busy, so that's where we're going with this thought model. So what is the thought you have about your work day? And anyone can speak up.
There's too much to do.
Too much to do. Like you're my client or something, Brittany.
Something.
Like that. Okay. Anybody else?
Tedious. Edit. I don't know if that would be a word, but like editing takes all day sometimes. So it's like I have to take breaks in between, but I don't, and I get overwhelmed with tediousness. If that's a word.
I always make up words. It's totally fine. I also spell words wrong all the time, so I did go to school. I just don't have them. Okay. All right. So there's too much to do, and even this one, Milena, you said you feel overwhelmed. Brittany, what feeling do you have? Overwhelmed? There's overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the anxiety about where to start.
Okay. Overwhelm and anxiety.
Cynicism.
Okay, so if we're talking about a work day and the thought is there's too much to do, it's so tedious, these thoughts create your feeling, right? These thoughts make you feel. Feelings don't you have to have a thought first. These thoughts make you feel overwhelmed, anxious, and cynical. Right? Okay. So when you are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or cynical, what do you do at your work in that day?
I start hating it.
Okay.
Or resenting it. I don't know what the best.
Resenting. I can say
Yeah, the cynicism came up because I just saw an email. And I just went, seriously? For reals? I need to go freaking take a walk.
Okay. Resent work. Okay. All right.
I feel that when I'm in this feeling that it takes me 3 times as long to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So draw out, let's just write unproductive. Is that about right?
Let's call it what it is.
Unproductive. So you're unproductive. If you're overwhelmed, how many of us get on Facebook? Or yeah, everyone's like, right? Scroll Facebook, look on Instagram, check your email 15 times, thinking something else might pop up. Okay, so that's called buffering, and that really does cover anything you do to avoid emotion. Facebook, Instagram, all the socials, Netflix, checking your mail 15 times, like your physical mail, you have to go outside, texting your friends, finding busy work to do that really has nothing to do with editing photos or your goal for the day, that's also buffering. And when we're overwhelmed, we're going to do all of the other stuff that's much easier to do. Usually not the stuff that we are supposed to be doing to get to our goal. A couple others that I have is that No, it's not that one. Is, what did I write? You over caffeinate. You're overwhelmed. What else did I write? Stay up late. That's me. If I'm overwhelmed and I take too long, then I have to stay up late. And I already said, spin. You can also spin in your thoughts. So you can just basically wallow in your feelings and do nothing at all. Yeah, so that's really great. So what do those actions get? How does that help you out at work? What's your results?
Nothing.
Bad mood.
Bad mood, yep. Did you get anything done?
I don't feel like I get anything done. I'm sure I did a little bit, but not as much as I would like to. Yeah.
Yeah. So your result is that you still have so much to do.
But I get to point the finger at somebody else.
Yeah.
I blame someone else that they didn't do their thing or whatever.
Yeah. That would be your action.
I get to be a victim again too, potentially.
Yeah. Absolutely. The blaming. And when you do all of these things, you still have things to do, which is not what we really want out of a day. We want to get shit done, not like do part of it and then have to do more of it. Because then now you have like that plus tomorrow's work to do. Mm-hmm. Great. That's going to make tomorrow so much better. Still have work to do. Okay. So the cool thing about this thought model is that, well, let me ask you, what's causing this result that you still have work to do?
Your thought.
Ding, 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 your thought. Because this thought caused you to feel this feeling. This feeling caused you to take all these actions or inactions, really. And that's what caused your result. If this thought was different, your result would have been different. Okay? And I'm going to show you what that looks like to prove it. All right. So do we got this? Do we have any questions about this? Okay. All right. So I am going to show you a version of this where we are going to change the way we think about it. Okay. So this is a great, there's too much to do is a great one, but what are some other ways, before I write it down, that you can think about your workday? Or, yeah, think about your workday. Or think about being busy even. Like, busy doesn't have to be overwhelming. Does anyone have anything?
Feel in control.
Yeah. Busy could also be productive. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so just know that there's other things to think about it. But we're going to focus on this again. So workday. So now, instead of thinking there's so much to do, what do you think that in order to get a result where things get done, so we're just going to put work gets done as your result. And we're just going to say, not down, see, I can't spell, done. We're just going to say you feel aligned. So you feel good about your day. At the bottom of that. Feel aligned. Okay, so in order to get this result, so I'm just going to do the whole thing backwards. It's easier. So in order to get this result, what are you going to have to do in order to get your work done?
Think differently.
Okay, yes, but what actual actions?
Oh.
Make a to-do list.
Prioritize.
Prioritize, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritize. What else?
And I think, starting off with, again, the task list, but making sure that it's a realistic and accomplishable one.
Yes, I love it. Be realistic with your time. Realistic to-dos. So good. How many of us think that we can cram like 20 hours of work into 10 hours?
You should see my brain up last night on my to-do list.
So the cool thing is you don't have to do all that stuff, but we think we need to. Okay.
And literally back when I was a lot busier and in a different position that was very detrimental to my health and all of those things, I literally had to schedule the time to take the notes for the meeting I was just in and block that out on my calendar to actually be able to have the time to take the notes of the meeting that I was just in, to make sure that I didn't get another meeting just piling right on top of it too quickly.
Wow. Yeah. Well, good for you for blocking that out. So we have to create buffer time. And I'm not buffering, not Netflix and Facebook buffering, but like buffers between our things. So create buffer of time. Okay. How about make better decisions? Right? That's kind of going under the prioritizing. But really, when it comes down to your to-do list, one of the things that I've been doing lately, which was hard at first, is that I'll write down everything my brain thinks I need to do. And then I'll go through, and anything that's a should is gone. I should clean the dishes. Nope. Right? My kids can do that. Or I'll do it, but I don't have to do it every day. It's fine. The world's not going to end if I let it stack up for a bit. All the shoulds, especially with my business, like there's a million things I could be doing, but I pick the ones that are going to make me money the fastest and make the most sense for what I'm doing. Like these things are important, right? Other things are going into every group on Facebook is not important. This is important. So editing yourself, edit down to what is essential for your goal. Okay, so in order to have all these actions, you're doing all these actions. Oh, edit was the other one. Goodness, pen. Edit. What feeling do you have to drive all those actions?
Clarity.
It's not going to work.
Clarity.
Clarity. What else?
I think Brittany said it before when she said control.
Control. Anything else?
Calm.
Calm. Yes, calm is helpful. Calm doesn't mean you're taking a nap. Calm just means you're like, okay, I can focus.
Trust.
The 3 C's.
What'd you say?
The 3 C's. Control, clarity, and calm.
Yeah. Very true. That's so funny. It is the 3 C's. We're going to just make it that. That's my new thing. The 3 C's. Okay. And the thought you need to have in order to have control, clarity, and be calm is what? And it's about our workday.
I can be productive.
That's great. How about I am productive? Anything else?
I trust that I know what I'm going to do, what needs to be done.
Yes.
I am capable.
Yes. I am capable. That's a great one. Because if we start to prove to ourselves that we're capable, it will turn into confidence as well. I actually have the 4 C's, which is so funny. That's why I was confused when you said the 3 C's. Commitment, courage, capability, confidence. So if you're capable and you prove it to yourself because work gets done, and you are, so what you're going to prove to yourself in this result is that you were productive. You got the work done. I am capable. I trust I'll do what I'm supposed to do. You're going to feel aligned. So our workday did not change. We probably still the same things that we decided we're going to be overwhelmed about and have the thought there's so much to do. But if we just change that thought to something else, and then we feel it. Now, you can't just say those words and still feel overwhelmed. Don't fake it. Don't say I'm capable and feel totally overwhelmed. That's not going to help you. You need to figure out a way to get to a place where you can say, I am capable. Or if you're not there yet, if you say I am capable and your brain's like, you are full of shit, you are not capable of anything, which it will do sometimes. That's what your brain's supposed to do. It's supposed to keep you small and in this little nest where it's warm and cozy and comfortable. Then you can say, it's possible that I am capable. It's possible I'm going to be productive today. Or I'm learning how to be capable. So learning and possibility is possible are my two favorite ways to get from, like for example, there's so many things to do as a thought to I'm capable. It's a big jump if you're so used to just being and there's so much to do, there's so much to do. But using it's possible, I'm just gonna write it up here, it's possible. Or what was the other one?
I'm learning.
Yeah.
Or I'm learning. Mm-hmm.
Then you can fill in what it is you're trying to learn or what's possible for you. That helps your brain calm down and not give you a bunch of grief about it. It's curious about that. It wants to know what that might look like, and it allows it, which is fantastic. So all of this result here is only there because of your thoughts. Because without these thoughts, you would not feel clarity, calm, and control. And without these feelings, it would be very hard to make this kind of action happen in a day. And then, of course, your result. So this is what's so awesome about being in control and taking responsibilities that you know, if you model this out for yourself, you will know what you want and how do you get there. So when I used the result at the end, I just worked backwards. And then the first example, I went from the top and went downwards because we're trying to see, okay, what do I really think about my workday? How does it make me feel? What do I actually do? And then we know what we want and we go backwards to figure out what am I supposed to do? How should I feel? And what thought do I need to have? And it changes everything. There's so much freedom in this. So much freedom. Okay, I am going to, we're probably going to go over the 45 minutes. I'm going to do the next thought model quickly. So I'm not going to ask for your participation because I want to write it down. And this will be more on someone, where's my thing? Oh, someone who's in their story. Because I want to make sure this is on here because I know there's a lot of people that are in their story about being busy. Okay. The other thing to think about too when you're trying to think about busy, productive is one, but it's important, like I said, to edit down, to be brutally honest with yourself about what you really want to achieve. Like what's most important. We think everything's important. We think that the kids have to play 15 sports and they have to have the best clothes and we have to take them here, there, everywhere. We don't have to do a lot of the things we think we do. We're just trying to fit in, right? Trying to be liked, trying to be the best mom, trying to be the best coworker. I used to bake stuff for people all the time. And I kind of miss it, but at the same time, it's not, I don't want to create time for that. I much rather create time to hang out with my kids or to write a new, whatever for business. I'm driven on what my goal is. And all the stuff I used to do is just gone away for now. It can come back later, but you got to get brutally honest of what your goal is and what you want out of life. Also, know, like Karma said, be very realistic with your time. If you have 4 hours, if you have 1 hour, know what you can do in that time and start timing yourself when you're doing things. Like Kim, do you know how long it takes you to make like 10 boxes? So like an hour? Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you know how long it takes you to make like 10 of your gift boxes?
Usually, if I know what's going to be in the box, it takes me about 5 minutes per box.
Okay, great.
If I know what's going to be in them.
Okay.
If I have to think about it, it takes me a little bit longer. Like right now, that's what I'm busy making this while I'm talking and very conflicted. If I'm honest.
Yeah, so you know how much time it takes for you. So you wouldn't, like if you knew what you were packing, you would know how many you can get done. If you're not sure, you got to allot for more time. Right. So that is what I'm talking about. We have to make sure we understand how much time we actually have. Be realistic about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want those to be in your forefront when you're thinking about your day, because that's stuff that we have control over. We have control over whether we're honest with ourselves or not. We have control over if we know how much time we have or not. And I know there's people that are going to say, but there's going to be an emergency. And what if I really don't know how long it takes? Well, that's your learning process. You have to figure it out if you want to have a schedule that makes sense and doesn't cause you to go into the busy, overly driven, run yourself into the ground place or a place of blame. Okay. All right, so the circumstance on this one is what someone has said. That's why it's neutral. Being busy is my life. Okay. So when we are looking at our own thoughts, it's having a thought about your thoughts. Pretty fun. Okay, so the thought I have about this being busy is my life is I don't like it. I don't like my life. Okay. It could also be it's not my fault. So if we have that thought, the feeling is going to be generally, I said disappointed, depressed, especially if we don't feel like we have control, and disappointed. And so if I'm feeling depressed and disappointed about my very busy life because it's not my fault and I really don't like it, then I am going to blame everybody else, everything else around me, the weather, my ex-husband, whatever we can come up with, that they didn't have the right creamer for my coffee when I went to get it, whatever it is. You can blame all the things. I'm going to also avoid pretty much everything. I'm going to avoid doing anything. I'm going to avoid, I'm avoiding doing things because I don't want to fail. So I'm just not going to do anything. And I'm going to complain a lot. I totally was that person. And I used to have like shame that I was this person, but now I'm like, you know what? We all evolve. It's okay. I learned a lot from that. And then my result from that is my life doesn't feel any better. Life doesn't feel better. This is not helpful. This thought, it's not my fault, about basically my victim story, it's not helpful because it causes me to stay right where I'm at. And that doesn't feel good. Do you understand that? Okay. Okay. So this thought created this result. And we know that because I'll show the opposite. So the circumstance is still the same. You guys write that down before I erase it? You can always come back. Okay. All right. So being busy is just my life. My thought about it. This is when I'm like smarter and older and wiser. This is a choice that I can change. This is my thought. This is a choice. It is a choice. We decide how we want to react to our life. It is a decision that we make. I made my life busy on purpose, not realizing I was doing that. I did it to myself. And it's crazy. My ex-husband said that and I thought it was an ass, but he was totally right. I will never tell him that, but that is what I realized. Damn it, he was so right. It was my decision. Okay, so this is a choice I can change. Is that what I said? Yeah, that I can change. This is the evolved Selena that figured it out. Okay, and with that thought, I felt empowered. This is like the best feeling. When you feel like you're amazing, you can do anything, because this is a hard thing to change. This story was really hard for me to change. Okay, so what did I do? I took responsibility. I had to look at myself. I couldn't blame anybody else. I was taking responsibility for all my actions, all my decisions, and I edited a ton of stuff. Edit my life. That's when I started like not doing all the things, not baking for my friends and my clients, just really doing what I needed to do so that my life was tolerable and then eventually like right where I want it, where busy comes and goes with deadlines, but it's not my everyday. My body really appreciated this because it was not happy for a long time, right? So I got brutally honest. All the stuff I told you is what I did. I had to be realistic. I know how long it takes me now to write a blog post. It is not an hour. It's at least an hour and a half to 2. Less now that I don't put images in it. It was, or actually I don't write blog posts anymore, but when I stopped doing images, that cut down a lot of my time. Figured it out. Okay, and then my result is my life feels better. So what I'm trying to show you is that this part stayed the same. This is what I was saying. And so I can either choose to live there still and have the thought that keeps me there, which was, I don't like my life. And what was the other part? I didn't write.
Not my fault.
It's not my fault. Thank you. And it's not my fault. That thought is not going to bring me to being empowered at all. But this thought, that it's a choice that I made and I can change. That thought about my life has changed everything. Makes me feel empowered. I take these actions that are bringing me closer to a life I want to love, or I do love. And my life feels so much better. My body feels so much better. My kids don't think I'm as crazy, like legit crazy. We joked about it last night. Do you remember crazy mommy years? They're like, yes, we do. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was a basket case. I don't even know. I felt bad for those kids. They still love me. It's okay. So here is the power of knowing your thoughts and looking at your thoughts on a daily basis. Because once you're able to see what you're thinking, you can change it. About being busy, or really about anything. But right now, since we're talking about busy, if you are like Frantic Felicia or one of these personas, and you don't want to be these personas anymore, you want to switch it up, you want to at least be aware of it, like own this if you're going to be Frantic Felicia, but decide how you want to think about it. Because even though sometimes I'm still frantic, and I like to call it focused too, I am driven for success, but I don't make it mean anything about me if I like slip into not being busy, like if I'm just living a regular day, I don't make that mean that I'm less than this, like I'm not successful. And that's really the key. Once you change the way you think, you have to bring it to a place where it allows you to be who you are and okay with who you are and not make it mean anything. Like I said, let people be wrong about you if you've changed from one version of busy to more of a calm and focused person that doesn't use the word busy in their vocabulary anymore, right? And allow them to be wrong about you. Don't make it mean anything about you other than you're doing what's best for you. Okay, so I want to leave you with some thoughts to think. I'm just going to say them. If you want to write them down, you can. And some of these are like things you can think will help you change. And some of them are just what I say. The first one is, it's possible that life doesn't have to be busy. Second one is, I'm in control of how I react to my schedule. Sometimes, we go to work and there's a schedule. We don't write that one ourselves, but we can control how we react to it, how we think about it. The next one helps me stay focused. It's, I'm focused on this one project. That's when you close all the browser tabs and you only have like one open, not 15. I'm not a victim. And the last one is, it's possible I can create a life that feels good. So what I challenge you ladies with today is to not say the word busy for one day. If you can do it for a day, try it for a week. See what other words or other statements you can use instead of busy. And when someone asks you, how are you? Take a moment to respond, because I know your automatic response will be just really busy. And see what else you can say. You might surprise yourself. And then notice if that new thing that you say changes the way you feel, changes the way you live your day. Because when it comes down to it, you get to choose. You are in control of this. Except the toddler brain likes to tell you you're not, but you really do have control. Your boss brain has control. You get to choose how you react, respond, and decide on react and respond and decide how you want to live your life. So stop living from the past. If you've been busy person, one of our personas here, if you've been her, don't live there anymore. So stop living from that past and start living into your possibility. That's way more fun. And I know you can get to anywhere that you want to go. All right, you guys, I went all the way through the full hour. I was aiming for 45 minutes, but hopefully this was helpful to you. I really appreciate you being here. I want to honor your time and just stop here instead of doing a Q&A. But if you have questions, I'll put, you can just actually post them in the group and I'll come and answer them. Because you might like read over and go, wow, now I have 15 questions I didn't ask them. So feel free.
Can you repeat the first of the 4 that you, or the 5, the
thoughts?
Yeah, the thoughts.
Okay, the first one is, it's possible that life doesn't have to be busy. I'm in control of how I react to my schedule.
Okay, I got all the other ones. But
okay, so that's it?
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, friends, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I will
Thank you, Selena.
Bye.
Thank you, Selena. This was great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.